All right. So, welcome everyone to Quantum London. This is episode number 8 in our Quantum in Finance series. As most of you will know, Quantum London is a community of people bringing together experts and academia and people who are curious and passionate about this fascinating topic being quantum computing, bringing them all together to try and unravel some of the complexity around, the business implications of quantum computing and quantum technologies more in general. So today it's another of the episodes around with the focus in the finance space. As always, we have our wonderful host, which will help us drive the conversation. She's Esperanza Cuenca Gomez. She is head of strategy and outreach at Multiverse Computing, but she's also part of the Quantum Strategy Institute, where she's looking at the topic of the change management. She's been one of the leading voices in the quantum space, and always wonderful to have her here helping us lead through the conversation. Our wonderful guest tonight is Najwa Sidqi, and she is a knowledge transfer manager at the Knowledge Transfer Network, which, if I'm not mistaken, is part of Innovate UK. And the topic for tonight is all around predictions for the rest of the year, as well as change management. How can companies be ready to for the quantum revolution? What steps can they take today to get closer and get ready for it? With me done, no any further talking from me. I will leave it to the main event. So over to you, Esperanza and Najwa.
Well, thank you so much for this great introduction. And thank you so much, Naya, for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you so
about about quantum prediction, how to navigate change, and what does all it means for industry and particularly the finance sector. I deeply admire your work, Nacha, because I think it shows a clear example, a tangible example of how to bring quantum technologies to industry, to make them a reality. And before to get to that point, we are now, approaching mid-year. And I think it's an interesting point to reflect upon what's coming up next in the quantum realm, and maybe share some of your forecast about what's to come this year.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much, really, Esperanza, for the kind invitation. I mean, it's always a pleasure and an honor to be speaking to you, and obviously to for the kind intro. So I guess it's like you said, Esperanza, we're approaching mid-year. We've seen so many great announcements that personally maybe I would have seen coming or not really seen coming. But obviously, congratulations on the new role as head of strategy and outreach at Multiverse Computing, which is a flourishing quantum startup in the quantum computing world. And obviously, with the relevance to our session today in terms of finance applications, we see that trend indeed, and you've probably seen many quantum businesses announcing some interesting collaborations with finance. I mean, obviously, Multiverse just recently with the case study, correct me, with Bank of America.
Yeah.
But also, we've seen earlier, and perhaps just less than a month ago, D-Wave with Caixa Group announcing a collaboration. Earlier in the year, JP Morgan and an application for blockchain. So there are a lot of things happening that are relevant to finance, and I've been actually shared a lot of interesting material about what are the specific use cases in that specific arena. But there are other things that are relevant to drug discovery and applications, a lot in bigger manufacturing chains. So quantum is really taking off right now, and I forecast to see more of these collaborations in the next couple of months as a culmination of all the efforts of development Also, like you said, rightfully, Esperanza, the outreach to the end users and to industry about manufacturing and what quantum can do for manufacturing, for example, and the different applications and use cases.
Yeah, absolutely. You said here a very interesting insight, which is quantum is taking off. And I feel that is a very powerful insight. It is taking off, and it looks like it is, in a sense, accelerating. And we see that with clear examples and tangible examples, as you rightfully said. We have at Multiverse, we have our collaboration with Bank of Canada, trying to simulate how cryptocurrencies are going to be adopted in a certain financial market. And we can see other collaborations in other space in the financial sector. The financial sector is interesting in the sense that it is one of the sectors where we have seen the first use cases. And again, we can think of other sectors, for example, manufacturing. And in manufacturing, we can think as well, for example, in predictive maintenance or optimizing production lines, both from the perspective of the line itself and the perspective of the machine, which is building some piece, for example. And yeah, these are exciting times to be in the quantum arena, while at the same time, of course, bearing into mind there are significant challenges ahead, and those need to be reckoned and also faced and eventually solved, of course. And and as we see industries getting ready for quantum, this is something that I'm thrilled to have you here to discuss this for your wide exposure to industries across all sectors. I would like to know a little bit more about what you are seeing in industries getting ready for quantum. How can they get ready for quantum? And if you see some patterns between industries.
Mm-hmm. That's a very great point you're raising, Esperanza. How is industry getting ready for that booming of quantum, really? Because quantum is starting to pick up for so many sectors and applications. And I guess what I sense the first step from these little curious people about quantum, right, is taking part in let's say networking opportunities and events that are a bit of high level opportunities for discussions with high level conversation about what quantum can bring to the table, how is that useful for their business, for example, because we appreciate that in this quantum race or revolution, not everybody is at the same level or page or stage of engagement. So there are a lot of flourishing communities, and obviously the Strategy Institute is also doing its part in it, is trying to have these generic or high level conversations where people can have a certain level of understanding, without going into much of the technical details or things that may not apply to everyone. So a lot of communities and networking opportunities and high level engagement conversations that are happening, I see in the quantum scene. And it's really helpful to see a lot of the communities being set up, especially at a global level, right? Because within the global quantum scene, we have countries that have been involved, for example, like the UK in quantum for so many years now, and maybe the industry is a bit better engaged or informed about the advancement of the research in this specific country, and other countries with less budget for this specific research may be less aware or less informed about the recent development. So these communities help bring a bit the knowledge and the awareness, and I think in its own is a great step forward for getting ready for quantum as a business, is getting really informed about what's happening in this area specifically and how it can help your business. And the second thing for getting ready for quantum for me is seeking collaboration opportunities. So not everybody will have the resources to have um, a house-made technology, quantum technology, or to acquire a certain quantum setup. However, from my experience in knowledge transfer and matchmaking people from different sectors, we see more and more end users seeking opportunities for collaboration, and it shows through several sectors we can think of. And therefore my forecast of seeing more and more of these collaboration being announced in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't agree more with you, Najwa. And you summarize and synthesize very well two aspects that I share with you that are critical to get ready for quantum. Indeed, the first step is get involved in communities. And I will share my personal experience. My quantum journey started getting involved in Quantum Madrid, which is a local community of quantum enthusiasts in Madrid, of course. And then, as you said, it is all about fostering conversations. And in those communities, you meet people from all walks of life. Yeah, there will be very technical people. I'm talking here about the physicists, the engineers, the people who are very much into the technology. And you also meet business people who are curious and are thinking in business terms. As you said, they are wondering, how can we harness the power of these technologies? How these technology address our problems? How can we start to explore these and generate value, not only for us as businesses, but for society as a whole? And then once we see these people and these organizations moving forward in their own quantum journeys, as you said, very often in a very organic way, we see collaborations emerging, because as you rightly said, I mean, quantum, it is quite an endeavor. And I really don't think an organization can do it all on its own. You need partners to go through that journey. And as you say, and I think that is, I mean, your job is very important for many reasons. And one of these reasons is matchmaking the different organizations, the different people, and let's start navigating this quantum journey together. And I agree with you, one of the leading countries in this navigation is the United Kingdom, and who have been in the quantum realm for, as you said, a long time, and one of the leaders of this revolution. And there is also an insight here that in a sense it's implicit in your answer, which is, even though it's a very technical revolution, it is also a human revolution. And I think that is beautiful, because it's very beautiful to see this merge of technology and people working together, working together towards an end that also in a sense goes well beyond economic value. Yeah, economic value will be created along the way, but we are also talking about something bigger here.
I couldn't agree more with you, Esperanza. I think more than the technical revolution, it is really about bringing all these different people together. And this is something I've been so keen on during the past nearly 3 years in my current role. Obviously coming from more technical background, and now taking a responsibility that is more human focused. Although there is a big effort of keeping up to date about the latest technology development from my side, because I need to keep aware and to keep gathering that knowledge. But the focus really is about people and bringing people together and bringing communities together, because there is this huge power of the community, like you said, the networking. And this is something I'm really keen to see how it evolves. Really is just such an exciting time for speaking and meeting with so many different people, and feeling really like a little close family.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that view. And I would say, building on your point, as in every family, we see someone who are leading the way and others maybe not so much. And due to the exposure that you have for so many industries, so many organizations, I would like to ask you about whether you see patterns in those who are leading. What are they doing, and what are the characteristics, which steps they follow?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a very interesting question. I haven't had a grasp of what their secret recipe in terms of leadership, but what I can say for sure is there is a strong leadership history in many of the organizations that are taking steps forward into deploying the technology, and the advancement. But there is also, I would say, in that leadership sphere, um, getting really the shaping of the question right is very important. What are we trying to solve as a question mark or as a problem, and how is quantum helping with that? I think some of them really nailed that question, and some others are just finding out or figuring out what type of question are we trying to answer, or what is the type of the problem that we are trying to solve. uh, Eventually, and it may be the other way around, now in the very beginning, because we're still in a quite premature stage of the development of the technology, but it is more presenting the technology as it can solve this and it can solve that and it can solve these different things and help with these different questions and problems, rather than the end user asking for the technology and saying, I need the technology to solve this. Is always selling the technology from the developer point of view, rather than the technology being sought for from the end user end. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess we're at this stage now. So pushing for the technology, there is a big hype around quantum. Quantum can solve this and quantum can solve that. And therefore trying to attract some of the interesting applications and users. But for people in leadership position, I would say, is people that have a certain metrics or leadership, technically speaking, but also that have shaped right the or framed the problem correctly from a business point of view, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And this reminds me, previous conversation I had with a person with a lot of experience in leading change and navigating change for big organizations. And she said pretty much the same thing that you're saying. And it's interesting because I'm pretty much sure that you don't know each other. So it's interesting when I see these great minds thinking alike. And she said pretty much your point. She said, listen, it's pretty much all about the leadership and how the leadership shapes the culture of an organization. And then it's also very interesting, the two angles that you pose how to approach to quantum technologies. yeah, you can approach quantum technologies by shaping a problem, shaping a question, and see how quantum technologies can contribute to that question. Actually, prefer the terminology question that problem, right? and, and and the discussion then and the thinking process then is how can quantum technologies contribute to the answer to this question? That's one way to approach this. And we can think also the other way, as you said. We can think about, all right, at this point, we think that quantum technology at its current state can do this variety of things. How does this fit into the questions that we have? We can also think it that way. And what I would say is that organizations who have leaders able to compute in a sense in this way, or think in a sense in this way, and get people on board to tackle this journey are those who are leading. And we can think of examples and names. Those who don't, well, this is something very personal, of course, and my personal opinion is that they face a significant risk, because even taking into consideration that there is a hype in quantum technologies, and we must all acknowledge this, but even taking that into consideration, things are accelerating. We still don't know how it's going to end, but it's gaining traction. So day by day, my personal take on this would be, day by day, organizations who are left behind are probably facing more and more risks. And now I'm thinking about the hype, and I would be also very interested in knowing your views about the hype around quantum technologies and what can be done about it. Because sometimes this is something that sometimes concerns me, because hyping also have its risks of its own.
Yeah, absolutely, Esperanza. I agree. I think we should not, fall into either excesses, either the hype or the skepticism are not good for quantum as an emerging technology. And maybe particularly the hype, because there is a risk of overpromising on quantum solving major challenges in our lives. But quantum is not a magic button that the world is going to press when the technology is ready, and suddenly all our humanity problems will disappear. And I'm worried that sometimes it is presented in this way, like a magic wand that will help solve all the issues that we're dealing with, whether it's climate change, whether it's healthcare issues, whether it's digital security, whether it's computing problems. And it's just, there is so much innovation happening, right? And I am just worried about all the businesses that are trying to take off, but they have also big hopes and dreams about where they can lead their organization and the future of these businesses. This is something I'm very keen on, to see where they get in a few years from now. But then it is also good to, again, present how the technology is useful in specific cases. Why is it more beneficial than other existing terms and technologies? Because, and again, like I said, not everybody will have the resources to afford access. Within this race, there is no terms of justice, and not everyone will be at the equal level in terms of accessing quantum in the next few decades, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is really my take on it.
Yeah, and it's a great take, and it's also a delicate balance, right, between, as you rightly say, overpromising and then being maybe too pessimistic. So it's finding, in a sense, a realistic optimism, I would say. So maybe that mindset, it is the mindset that helps everyone in the community moving forward, being aware of the challenges, keeping a balanced view, and also, why not, keeping also an optimist attitude, because I think that it's going to help in any endeavor, not only a quantum one. Sorry. I'm also here. Sorry, I'm also here monitoring the chat on YouTube. And there is a powerful statement, or a strong statement, that I want to share with you, also to know your views. And Anu is saying that leadership invests in solutions to problems, not in technologies. What do you think?
I think it follows up really on the hype and skepticism message. So presenting quantum as a solution rather than a revolutionary technology development. So it feeds into what we have been discussing previously, framing the question or shaping the problem, and how is quantum solving that problem. So it joins really what we have been saying. I agree.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Anuj, for your insight. And yeah, it's true. Leadership, and I would add, business leaders are very pragmatic. And yeah, they invest in solutions. They understand the world in terms of questions, problems, and solutions. So while it is true that they might not be keen on investing in technology for the sake of technology, they are going to be very keen in investing in a technology that offers answers, or at the very least, the potential to bear answers to their questions. Thank you, Anuj. I will be monitoring as well the chat, and if I see any other insights and questions, I will be sharing. And I apologize in advance if I'm not able to share them all with Najwa. All right, so let's move forward with this conversation. And we were discussing before a little bit about people leading the way, people staying behind, and also with this thought of patterns. My question is, if which steps do you see in a quantum journey that work, and how does KTN contribute in those steps? Because I see lots of steps to be taken, and most of them cannot be taken by organizations by their own. So it's great to have organizations like KTN lending a hand along the way.
Absolutely. Well, that's another great question by you, Esperanza. And indeed, I guess KTN plays an important role into linking the different people. It is a growing landscape, and finding who does what can be very difficult sometimes. So providing that link between different communities. So we're very keen talking about the quantum community. We've seen that develop and grow through the past few years. And with the pandemic, it opened up the door of virtual networking and a lot of virtual events where people could be sitting in completely different time zones, but yet still found a place and a platform to meet each other and exchange ideas, and maybe opened up the doors for interesting collaborations. So doing this linking between different stakeholders is something that we facilitated at KTN, and it is such a powerful tool, really. Bringing people together, bringing different communities together from different sectors specifically. And again, it is that sort of cell to the end user what quantum can do for you. This is most importantly the point we're at, and facilitating these events or material to raise awareness about quantum applied to specific sector, right? So at KTN, we have done in the course of the past 5 or 6 years, so many of these type of activities for different sectors, and it actually proven to be a powerful connector, but also a powerful information tool where, again, via these high level conversations, but also having let's say scientists and experts and quantum businesses present on what they can do, maybe brings a closer understanding about what is this magical tool that we're talking about, which is quantum. There is a bit of mystic behind the word quantum, and we're trying to demystify, it's just a word and it can do this and this for you. So consider it and consider how it could be useful specifically in your case. So I think these are the sort of steps really, is the reach and the awareness raising to different communities rather than the quantum community. Or otherwise you will just end up preaching to the same people
Yeah.
what quantum can do.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. They already they converse, right? And you preach it to the converse in a sense. Yeah, so yeah, to grow the community absolutely is bringing more people into the community, telling everyone, as you say, demystify, because yeah, there is this mystique around quantum as something mysterious and very, very difficult and even magical. So we need to demystify that so more people get into the community. I would say ideally everyone, and speaks quantum. And also this also has to do with the concept of democratizing quantum. I believe that quantum is for everyone. So, and those two things go very much hand by hand. The more you demystify, probably the more you democratize quantum, it reaches more and more people and it benefits more and more people. And that is how you move an industry forward. And of course, the work that you guys at KTN is crucial. It's absolutely crucial in this. And you were mentioning before something very interesting, and I absolutely can relate to that, that one also needs to keep on track with all the developments, and also to keep on track on that and being able to explain in an accessible way to the broad people, to the broad audience. So fascinating insights, Najwa, really. I have another insight here from Anush as well. Thank you. Oh, and a question, and I'm going to take the question first. It's from Malgot Sata. I'm not sure I pronounced well your name. I'm sorry if I didn't. And he is posing this question to you, Anuj. Oh, sorry, Najwa. It's what do you think we can do to offer fairer access at this stage of development?
Yeah, I I don't want to contradict what I said earlier, is that unfortunately in the very beginning there won't be a fairer access to such a complex and expensive technology, because we're still in the very early stages for bringing it to the user, and the user that will get access to it first will be a specific niche of end users, because the application itself is end user.
Yeah.
But I join you, Esperanza, on saying that I also believe that we need to democratize the access to the technology. So hopefully in the near future, by when we figure out more technical issues, because the biggest barrier to quantum let's say it, is still a technology barrier. There's still some technical milestones that we need to achieve to reach that maturity. And then once we figure this out, then we can cut down on a lot of the problems that may make it less accessible to people. But obviously, for things like quantum computing, I appreciate that some of the platforms already offer some sort of open access. There are other things that are being shared with the wider public, some databases for freely accessible quantum algorithms or whatever. So there are things that are being put slowly by the developer to allow more users to get some time on their quantum computers or whatever. So getting to that point first of a technology that is reliable and completely ready or complete, if that makes sense, and then trying to make it more accessible financially, perhaps to a wider range of people. There are issues like the bulkiness, for example, that may be also a limitation for accessing to a wider range of people. Whether you and I will have a quantum computer in our living room, that's another question. I think nothing is impossible, really, if we think about it. And the human brain is such a powerful thing, because when we think about bigger revolutions in the human history, we wouldn't think about all the amazing things that we have achieved and we have reached just thanks to our imagination, but also thanks to persevering and also believing that something will happen. And with that persevering, we achieve these things. For example, flying planes, getting to the moon, and all these things that maybe seemed impossible centuries ago are now possible and happening and accessible and democratic. So hopefully in, I don't know, a century ahead, maybe this is something that will be completely accessible to absolutely everyone, such as we're still thinking about, I'll give a silly example, but the pandemic has also proven that we're not equal in terms of access to internet.
That's right.
That's right.
If I might add, and I beg to differ, it is not a silly example, and far for a trivial example, if I might add that. But please continue. And sorry for the interruption.
And I mean, that just demonstrates there's still a lot of work to do in terms of networks and telecoms. And this has impacted a lot of people studying and pupils in schools and things like that. So hopefully we will get there too. But I think this is thinking.
It will take time. That's one key message and very powerful message that you're saying. It will take time, but we are talking about a question of time here. For example, and I love aviation, and the aviation example is brilliant. We spent pretty much of our history, if we look back in the bigger picture, thinking that flying was impossible. And now it's something that we see lots of flights every day. Again, we thought that going to the space, going to the moon was impossible. And well, it is not exactly something that we do every day, that's right. But we've been there. And then again, we have satellites for telecommunications and many, many other things. And we use space technology in our everyday lives. And again, with technology came inequalities, and you were absolutely right. Internet access. Imagine, a lockdown without the internet is a scary thought, really. So here we start to think about technology in terms of democratizing and why it's important to democratize quantum. Now, I share with you that at this stage, the technology is emergent, and this means very often expensive. Now, that is also why governments are launching public schemes that hopefully will help to democratize quantum. And I believe the public sector has a very powerful voice and also powerful leverage to help in this quest of democratizing quantum. All right. So here I will share the insight from Anush that I couldn't before. And Anush is saying quantum communication, sensing, and security are getting more attention of leadership as they are presenting workable solution. Quantum computing is still far behind. Well, that's also a strong statement indeed. How do you see this, Najwa? I have my personal views and I will share them later as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, I would share this insight as well, because it shows that there is still a lot of work to do to explain to the wider public at what point every technology is and how it's relevant to them, right? And how it's going to be accessible to them.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of work to be done on this because it's not clear. And again, quantum is like of this magic word that we're throwing here and there.
Yeah.
But we cannot envisage it properly.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And because we cannot relate to it as a material something, as a physical something. If you say a smartphone, well, there is a smartphone. If you say a fridge, there is a fridge in the kitchen. You say, so it is a similar thing. What does it look like? If we say a microscope, we know microscope. If we say an MRI, we know an MRI, how it looks like in the hospital. I'm taking now more niche examples of technology out there that belongs in our labs. So when we say quantum, do we have an associated picture in our brains? That's what quantum is.
Yeah.
So I think there is a lot of work to be done on that. So hopefully in the coming decades, there will be an association between a quantum computer and something in our brain, because we will see more of this technology spoken about in, let's say, media, news, TV. I haven't, seen a lot of media or TV coverage on quantum yet.
Yeah, that's right.
It will be great to see more of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something much needed to get broad coverage. And coming back as well to Anush insight, it's difficult to tell, as you were saying, Najwa, it's difficult to tell within these different arrays of applications of quantum technology, broadly speaking, which are getting more attention and which are more advanced. There is at this stage a lot of uncertainty, really, because the technology is evolving. And we see as well, very, very interesting applications, for example, in the realm of quantum sensing. Maybe these can have applications as well in the healthcare sector for enhanced medical imaging, because we know that quantum sensors have more accuracy. And this is still a road to be walked, in a sense. With quantum communications, we hope to be ultra secure. And this also shows a lot of potential. And in quantum computing, sometimes I think that we haven't discovered the killer application yet. Just like when the first connection was made between two computers, we couldn't think of the internet, or when the internet was born, we couldn't think of the applications we see now in our day-by-day lives. Maybe we are not able to see from this side of the event horizon what lies behind, what is the killer application for quantum. And I would add here that some of us are more than excited to find out what lies behind. All right. So moving forward, there is a question that I don't want to miss, and we are now 15 minutes to the top of the hour, and I don't want to miss this question, which is if you could share some of your personal experiences in your own quantum journey, because I think your story is very inspirational for everyone, really, and particularly, why not saying this? Yeah, particularly for women and women in quantum. So I have, in our private conversation, have had the privilege to hear some of those, and I'm sure the audience would appreciate that a lot as well.
Mhm. Well, maybe I'll start from the beginning, right? On when quantum started for me, probably it's back in 2008 when I just started engineering school, and we had a course called quantum mechanics, and this was a course I wasn't really keen on. That was really a very complex course with a lot of mathematics, a lot of Hamiltonians to solve. I didn't know what that meant. And I think also back at the time, I appreciate it's been 14 years now, that so many developments has happened to the world of quantum, and the real revolution has been just happening in the past 3 or 4 years with the emergence of so many businesses and so many cross-sector collaborations and so many applications. So it is very recent in time, isn't it? But it was something that I put aside, really. I remember making an essay about a quantum computer, but then it looked again very basic, and it was a written research piece about what I could find, and it wasn't much, to be honest. I wish I could. It's probably in the school archive now, this essay. So I wish I can go back and actually read what I have wrote about quantum computer at the time. But my journey evolved into more established sector in microelectronics and nanofabrication and material science and nanocharacterization. And this is what brought me back again to quantum 6 or 7 years ago when I was doing my PhD. And my point is, maybe all roads lead to quantum today, because there are so many inter and multidisciplinary skills needed to develop quantum applications and a quantum technology, including the skills I had at the time on material science and thin films and coatings and nanofabrication and semiconductors and microelectronics.
Yeah.
And these are a bit of a summary of most of the skills that are needed for quantum hardware development. So this is back to, I guess, the journey was a bit of bumpy experience. Again, with the knowledge transfer, manager role is less focused on developing a technology or on the technical skill. It is more around the management skill and the human skills that allow me to execute my role as a matchmaker on a day-to-day basis, but also understanding the high level conversation or the bigger picture about what quantum is really about. And the mapping work that we have completed at KTN was such an important task, because we could really figure out some very important aspects of what it takes actually to be in quantum or to develop quantum, but also that there is more than quantum in quantum.
Yeah.
So quantum is more than just quantum. Quantum involves so many people from different areas and different sectors and different applications. So this is something that is important to keep in mind. So again, quantum is not a small sphere that, just have maybe computer scientists and physicists within it. There is a bigger picture around that, and a bigger question.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something I came to understand better. And I think we're all in such a fun and exciting time for quantum, where this conversation is open to everyone. Everyone is free to ask questions. Everyone is free to engage in communities. There are so many, I guess, back to democratization again, so many of these open communities for people to be curious about quantum and ask their questions and engage. KTN is, again, another free and open platform for people to attend so many of these awareness raising events about quantum. So this is an exciting time. It couldn't get more exciting than that. Obviously, Quantum London as a platform offering all these amazing episodes on quantum computing for finance and inviting different speakers and experts and bringing the diversity of the insights is something that is also huge and important.
Yeah, and I mean, there are lots of things that I love about your journey, and and I can relate to that. It's a bumpy road and it's non-linear. You know how do you start, but you don't know how it's going to end. And it's pretty much having sort of a compass. So you more or less know your direction and where you want to be, and then enjoy the process and trust the process. And there is also a sentence that I have just loved, Najwa, and it's quantum is much more than quantum. We are talking about something bigger here, something that we all are part of. And it's it's a fascinating journey, exciting times, also sometimes demanding, but thrilling all the way around. And I feel honored to have these conversations with you and with so many individuals so talented that I admire a lot and respect a lot. And to continue walking this journey. We are slowly coming to the top of the hour. And Em, I don't know if there's something you would like to share, maybe one of your famous questions or some insights that you have, whatever. Em, we are always happy to hear whatever you have to say.
I do have one question from Najwa. Is more she touched on this a bit, but we'll be curious to know a bit more in a couple of minutes. Some of the key things the knowledge transfer network is doing at the moment. How are you pushing the agenda in the quantum space?
Absolutely. KTN has done a lot in terms of, like I mentioned, networking events and raising awareness for the past 3 years. We have been also organizing the UK National Quantum Showcase, which is the biggest gathering event for showcasing quantum technology and science developed in the United Kingdom. And I myself, as a knowledge transfer manager at KTN, I am responsible for also volunteering and helping other communities co-organizing other events. And that is also, again, helping to push the quantum agenda in other communities that are maybe less focused on quantum. So there is, again, a bigger and more powerful networking opportunities, bringing other networks into the quantum community. So we amplify the message. And again, the risk of preaching to the same people, we want to bring newer networks and newer people to our conversations. So this is in a nutshell about how we're pushing the quantum agenda, creating cross-sector collaborations, and we're at KTN more known as a matchmaker, helping connect people from the wider landscape, from different sectors. These are the main actions that we do.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. So if there's anyone in the audience now or watching this episode later on, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to if you go on KTN website, you'll find a link where to connect me and pose any questions. So just Google my name and you'll have a link on KTN website where you can pose any questions, and I'm happy to pick them up.
Good. No, thank you. Thank you both. So my one takeaway from today is there is more than quantum in quantum. That's the thing we'll remember. And Esperanza, you
absolutely.
may use this as one of your daily quotes on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Great idea. I think if Najwa allows me, I will do it.
Yeah, I'm just worried. I don't want to embarrass myself or anybody else.
No. I mean, I won't do anything that you don't want me to do, but it's a brilliant quote.
No, I feel that there is more than quantum to quantum itself, and it's just I'm just about realizing that, really, and fully understanding the words that I am speaking right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Good. Thank you. I think that about wraps it up from today.
Yeah.
Thank you, both of you, for the insights. It was a lovely conversation to follow here. So in terms of what's happening next with Quantum London, we are in the process of planning our upcoming events. I just put in the chat the link for our LinkedIn page. That's the best way to keep up to date with what's happening within our community, or in general. We try to bring on the surface some of the most interesting news and the things that are happening in the space. So the best way to keep in touch with us is the LinkedIn page. I just posted either the link in the chat or just look for us on LinkedIn and you will find us. That's only we leave this with to say once again thank you to our wonderful host Esperanza and our wonderful guest Najwa, and I'm looking forward to reconnect with all the audience in the next one. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.